1917, Duchamp was on the jury for the Independence exhibition in New York, which was intended to be sort of the great celebration of modern art, when New York would finally wake up to the fact that there was an awful lot happening, both in New York and in Paris, all very exciting. Duchamp was on the jury, being a very famous young artist. Just before the exhibition opened, this porcelain urinal arrived at the gallery, signed by R. Mutt and with a label with the name and address of a female friend of Marcel Duchamp's. There was a tremendous row about it, and it was decided that they wouldn't show this object, and it was hidden behind a curtain. Duchamp, who had not said he had anything to do with it at the time, immediately resigned from the committee, and there was a lot of publicity about it in the newspapers. But the most interesting thing, of course, was the second issue of the little journal that Duchamp edited with his friends Henri Perrochet and Beatrice Wood, called The Blind Man. And this second issue of The Blind Man was sort of focused on this question, the exhibit that was refused by the Independents. It was given the title Fountain, and it was reproduced with a wonderful photograph by Alfred Stieglitz in the magazine. It lists the reasons for rejecting Fountain. It says some contended it was immoral, vulgar. Others, it was plagiarism, a plain piece of plumbing. Now, Mr. Mutt's Fountain is not immoral, that is absurd, no more than a bathtub is immoral. It is a picture that you see every day in plumbers' show windows. Whether, and then this is the key paragraph, whether Mr. Mutt, with his own hands, made the fountain or not has no importance. He chose it. He took an ordinary article of life, placed it so that its useful significance disappeared under the new title and point of view, created a new thought for that object. That was a very new idea, and that's probably been one of the most influential sort of moments or gestures in the whole history of 20th century art. Not that Duchamp intended it that way, necessarily, because I think that he devised this incident, he devised the fountain episode as a way of kind of short-circuiting the ambitions of the Independence exhibition to establish modern art. And he took a very skeptical attitude towards modern art, and this was one of the sort of key moments in which he challenged it. There are really several different ways of taking the gesture of removing a urinal from its normal position, turning it upside down and presenting it in a different way. Either you see it as a fundamentally iconoclastic gesture, or you see it as a rather new take on the machine aesthetic. And I think both of those positions are perfectly plausible. To my mind, the ready-mades still exist in a kind of no man's land between the utilitarian and the work of art. I don't see them as straightforwardly elevated to the rank of work of art, because then you would lose that frisson of something not from that world that appears to be elbowing its way into it. And also, of course, they trail the domestic, they trail the fact that they were ordinary objects. And it was an important aspect of them when they influenced the surrealist object. The surrealist object is also always made from ready-made things, from things that are bought from the shops, if you like, but also whose original function is diverted. I mean, their utilitarian character is changed completely. They have another character.